This is a 1996 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur. When it was new, 21 years ago, it had an original price of around $180,000, which is equivalent to about $280,000 in today's money. Right now, 21 years later, it's worth about as much as a well-equipped Honda Accord. Now, I've borrowed this Silver Spur from my friend David, who runs a dealership here in the Philadelphia suburbs called Automobile Limited. I'm going to show you around this thing, but first, a little context. Now, we all know the Rolls-Royce Phantom, which is the most opulent, extravagant, mondo expensive Rolls-Royce on sale today. Well, before the Phantom, there was the Silver Seraph, and before that, there was this. This is essentially the Phantom of 20 years ago. This was the most opulent, extravagant luxury car of 1996. So David mostly deals in late model used cars like new M3s and Porsches and 5 Series, but he got this thing and he called me up and he said, "Doug, you gotta come check this out." And who am I to turn down the Rolls-Royce Phantom of the 1990s? So today I'm gonna show you around this thing and I'm gonna show you what it was like when you bought a $300,000 luxury car in 1996. And then I'm gonna take it out on the road so we can find out how the driving experience has held up over time. And of course, for more of my thoughts on the whole Silver Spur experience, click the link below for my column on autotrader.com/oversteer. Now we'll start when you open the door to this thing and you quickly discover the entire interior has so much wood, it might as well be a forest.
Of course, there's wood on the door panels and wood all over the dashboard and wood throughout the center console, but have you ever seen wood on the sun visor mirror cover?
Once you get used to the wood, you look around the interior and you start to notice an unbelievable amount of switches and buttons for every possible function you could imagine. For instance, in this little wood area in the center, there are 2 unlabeled switches. The one over here controls the light right above your head. Push it, turns on. Push it again, it turns off. The switch on the right, why, that controls the light on the passenger side. 2 separate switches just to turn on a couple of dome lights? Of course. How could you possibly do it any other way? Now, speaking of unlabeled buttons in the center, look down here below the center console lid. You'll notice 2 silver buttons that are unlabeled. It turns out those buttons control the mirrors. You push this one around, you can adjust the driver mirror. This one adjusts the passenger mirror. Yes, that's right. There are 2 separate buttons to control the 2 separate mirrors. Next up on our tour of interesting 90s Rolls-Royce buttons, check this out. A little button next to the steering wheel that lets you automatically adjust the steering column. Now, this is pretty common in luxury cars today, but back in 96, nobody had this. If you were driving around adjusting your steering column with a button, you must have felt like you were better than everybody else. And you may have been. Next, we get to my favorite button of all of them. That would be the button in the center surrounded by wood that features merely the Rolls-Royce logo. Push it, and the ashtray pops out. Classy. Next, we get to maybe the most interesting button in the entire car. That would be the oil level button. It's just an unassuming button between the hazard light switch and the fuel door release. But if you push it while the car is on, for that second or two while you're pushing it, the fuel gauge will temporarily display the car's engine oil level. It's an interesting idea, and the theory behind it, of course, is that as a Rolls-Royce owner, you wouldn't want to dirty your hands by going under the hood and trying to measure the oil level manually. A button will do. Another interesting thing I noticed about this car is the speed with which the power windows and the power seats operate. It's really weird. In most old luxury cars, the windows just barely creak down. Look at this thing. Those things aren't breaking anytime soon. They're like bullets.
Speaking of electronics, here's a weird one. The transmission lever is fully electronic, so you can just move it around randomly when the car is off without it actually changing the gear.
Now, in front, you may have noticed that the interior carpeting was covered in plastic instead of the floor mats. Well, that's because the floor mats are back here so they can be preserved. And they're back here because they cost about $2 grand and they're made of lamb's wool. And just look how thick and rich these floor mats are. Oh, it's so nice. You see these things and you just want to take your shoes off and dig right in. Now, back to the front, where of course you'll find the glove box, which contains two of my favorite things about the car. Number one, let's talk about the sound system. Say you've just bought your Rolls-Royce and you want to see what the sound system is like to its fullest. Rolls-Royce has thought of that. Here is the Rolls-Royce demonstration CD that came with this car 21 years ago so that you can listen to the sound system. But say you're the type of owner who hasn't quite gotten into CDs yet. After all, it's 1996. Well, Rolls-Royce thought of you too, because here is the Rolls-Royce sound system demonstration cassette tape. What's my other favorite thing you find in the glove box? Why, that would be the owner's manual, of course, complete with Rolls-Royce and Bentley logos because the two brands shared ownership at the time this car was built. Now, this owner's manual, as you can imagine, is full of some gems, and I can't get to all of them, but I will read you my favorite part. It's entitled School of Instruction, and it goes like this. The School of Instruction offers a course for chauffeurs of Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars. The course covers the mechanical, electrical, and coachwork features of the car with particular attention to the daily/weekly checks and adjustment procedures. Advanced driving techniques are also included in the course. There's also an address listed for the School of Instruction and a phone number. In other words, if you thought your chauffeur just wasn't quite cutting it, you could say, hey, why don't you pull out the owner's manual, turn to page 1-6. Maybe you should think about some time at the School of Instruction. So why is there that information about the School of Instruction in the owner's manual? Because a lot of people really were chauffeured around in these cars. And when you get in the back seat, it's easy to see why you would want to do that. For example, it's very clear that there's a lot of room back here, but something's missing. Ah yes, my footrest. It's located in the seat pocket in front of me. I pull it out, place it on the ground, and now I have a place to put my feet. So you're relaxing in the back seat, but maybe you decide that you want to get some work done. Well, Rolls-Royce has thought of that too. There's a little tray table that pulls out from the back of the front seat, made of wood, of course, surprisingly sturdy, and when the car is on, the tray table's even lit so you can see what you're doing. They really did think of everything. But who cares about footrests and tray tables? Let's say you're running late for an important meeting where you have to look good. Well, they've thought of that too. They've installed mirrors right back here so you can look at yourself. And located right next to the mirror is a little unlabeled switch that controls, guess what? A dome light, so you can look at yourself even better. Now, one last ultra-opulent rear feature I'd like to mention is in the center armrest. You pull down the center armrest, which is just full of leather, and you open up the little armrest console box, and you discover a cradle for a cell phone. That's right, there was a cradle for a cell phone in back of this car. So you could basically sit here with your footrest down and your tray table ready, staring at yourself in the little mirror and talking on your phone. I bet you would have felt really important doing all that stuff in 1996.
Moving on to the exterior, one of the first things you notice when you try to get inside is just how heavy the doors are.
Here's what I mean. I'm going to try to close the door in my Land Rover, also a 1990s British vehicle, with a slight push. Easy enough. But when you try to use that same slight push to close the heavy doors in this thing, even a harder push won't do it. You play basketball with this door. Now, moving along to the trunk lid, you have one of my favorite features about this car. In order to access the keyhole to get into the trunk, you had to flip up the Rolls-Royce badge to reveal the keyhole. Now, that's not that crazy. Actually, quite a few 90s cars had that. What a lot of 90s cars didn't have was a little magnet mounted under the little flip-up thing so that it stayed down while you were driving down the road. Now, this thing is pretty heavy. It would probably have stayed down anyway. They didn't need to put the magnet there, but they did. That is attention to detail. Another one of my favorite things in this car is inside the fuel door. To release it, you press a little button inside the car and it pops open. Now, this car takes unleaded fuel, obviously, but apparently that wasn't all that obvious back in 1996, because after you've opened the fuel door, you also have to push aside a little cutout that says unleaded fuel only before you can actually get to the gas cap. Another interesting piece of attention to detail. Now, in your car, you probably have a VIN plate in your door jamb. In this thing, I don't even know what this is. What are those, lions? There's a flower petal, the Rolls-Royce logo. It's silver. That is what $300,000 bought you in 1996. Also interesting on the exterior of this car, you turn this car on and the antenna shoots up, which was true in a lot of 1990s cars. That's not my favorite thing about the whole antenna situation, however. Oh no, my favorite antenna item comes from the never-ending glove box of hilarity. Now, I should mention, when Automobili Limited got this car, it was a one owner. Someone bought this thing in '96 and had it for 21 years. That means it had all the original stuff with it, including, in the glove box, this. You know what this is? This is Hirschman Auto Antenna Car Cleaner. No dirty fingers while cleaning your antenna. They gave you this when you bought a Rolls-Royce so that when the antenna was up, you could walk back there and wipe it down with this now 21-year-old antenna cleaner.
Another thing they gave you when you got a Rolls-Royce is this odd letter holder shaped like the Rolls-Royce grill. But wait, there's more. Pull this out and you get a cool pen with the Rolls-Royce Spirit of Ecstasy on top.
Okay, so now you have a pretty good idea of the features and the amenities and the quirks of the Silver Spur. But how does it drive? Well, first let's talk about what's under the hood. Under here is a 6.75-liter V8 that Rolls-Royce used with various modifications for years. Now, the interesting thing about this engine is Rolls-Royce never published a horsepower figure for it. Instead, in all of their marketing materials, it merely said sufficient. The general feeling is that the engine made around 300 horsepower, maybe a little bit more. Maybe more interesting is the fact that the transmission was just a General Motors 4-speed automatic used in various other GM vehicles, not some crazy, bespoke, expensive Rolls-Royce transmission. With that in mind, it's time to take it out on the road. The thing about this car that makes it so appealing, even when you just first get inside, is this car comes from an era where, to define a luxury car, it was all about workmanship and craftsmanship and materials quality. In modern times, technology is what makes a luxury car, but back when this thing was new, just the stitching on the leather and the quality and the grain of the wood, that's how people define the quietness of the vehicle, the ride. That's how people defined a luxury car. They didn't care about whether it had all of the latest gizmos and gadgets. It wasn't as big of a deal as it is now. Boy, it is just so unbelievably smooth. The ride is just glides over everything. The other crazy thing that you feel when you drive this car is just the sweeping. The hood is so long, and then you turn that hood and the hood ornament just sweeps across your vision. Oh, this car, it's just so quiet and so smooth. When you absolutely floor it, you hear the motor, but it doesn't feel taxed like it is in a modern car, and they certainly haven't tried to inject any exhaust note. It's just like, you know, oh, a little more engine, a little more engine. It is incredible. When the car is stopped, you can't hear a thing. I put up the window. I can hear nothing. Rolls-Royce used to say the only sound you could hear when the car was running was the clock ticking. And in this car, that's so true. You can hear absolutely nothing. I can whisper and you can still hear me. Now, I have a right on red situation here at kind of a tight intersection, and I'm afraid to make the turn because the hood is so long. I'm not sure. All right, here we go. Now the cars have all turned. I can do it. That's hilarious. The wafting and gliding down the road is incredible. When you go over a bump, sometimes it takes a couple of bumps to kind of even it out. But the benefit is that when you go over something, you just don't feel it. You just don't feel it. I can't believe how smooth this car is and how quiet. Oh, it is. I am now going 40. It is whisper quiet. This is a 20-year-old car. It isn't like this is a brand new thing and they've added all these new high-tech sound deadening measures. This car is 20 years old. Here's a bridge with a 3-ton weight limit. I feel no sense of hurry or urgency in this car. My worries are gone until something breaks. It's just so, you could just sit here. This car is just amazingly soft and quiet. I know I keep repeating this. I just am blown away. I drive a lot of cars. I drive a lot of luxury cars. The problem is that in today's world, and most of the cars I drive, people want at least some semblance of sport. But Rolls-Royce was just like, forget that. We're not even gonna engineer the littlest bit of performance or exhaust or handling. This car is specifically designed for the chauffeur-driven and and for people who just want a experience they don't want to hear from the 99% when you're driving this automobile. Okay, so that's the driving experience, but it isn't quite the entire Silver Spur experience. You see, the Silver Spur was the long wheelbase version of the regular Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, and it was really designed to be chauffeured around in. So I've asked David, the owner of Automobili Limited and the owner of this car, for a little help. This is the life. Right? The seats are so nice back here.
I can't get over the interior condition in the car.
It's so nice.
You know, it's such a testament to what used to be handcrafted vehicles and what's out there now, because, you know, everything's mass produced.
Right.
A lot of stuff that's handmade still has a lot of mass production qualities.
It is unbelievable how much space I have back here. I can, if I want to lie down,
you can.
I can just lie right down. And that's kind of how, that's the experience I want to have when I'm sitting in a Rolls Royce, you know?
Of course, yeah. Wow, this thing does nice.
It drives pretty nicely, right?
You know, the seats are not supportive, but it doesn't even matter.
The ride,
they're so big. Any direction you go, you're still on the seat. I love how thin the steering wheel is.
The steering wheel's so thin.
It's not even. It's like you said. They didn't even attempt to make this car anything remotely close to sporty. It's just like this huge mass with very expensive handcrafted materials.
Right.
And it's just got to get you down the road looking amazing. How about the windshield wipers? They didn't even attempt to make that aerodynamic.
Right.
They're just out there.
Right.
Oh, it's so funny. I love it. The back doors on the outside, I think anyway, because of the extended wheelbase, the long wheelbase.
Yeah.
It's just obnoxiously long.
Yeah.
they're not even trying to say, hey, this is a normal four-door car. The aroma is there.
That's right. Everything is aging at the right smell.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not like that musty smell you get in a car that's been like stored and never driven.
Right.
This is like a true British hides type of thing.
God, it's so nice back here. It just feels.
I'm actually really enjoying this.
So I've driven a few of these. This is by far the nicest one that I've ever come across.
It's gotta be because the maintenance history on it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a one-owner car.
Right. So there you go, the 1996 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur. Imagine buying this car with the equivalent of $300,000 20 years ago. Imagine owning it for 20 years and then finding out that you could trade it straight across for a 2-year-old Dodge Durango. It's mind-boggling, it's hilarious, it's ridiculous, and now we know what it was like to have the most extravagant, opulent level of luxury from 21 years ago.
Pardon me, do you have any gray poupon?
But of course!